Good afternoon and welcome to another edition, or the second edition, of Old School RC. And what I've got on the table today is something you just really don't see anymore at all. And this is an old radio system from the mid-90s. Now this was part of a package deal that I got on Facebook. But this thing is pristine and I wanted to show it to you just to show the newer people in the hobby that only know the 2.4 gigahertz systems and the way they sell those systems. I wanted to show this to those people primarily, and maybe to anybody else that's interested, to see what radio systems used to be like in the, I'll call them the old days. And this is from the time when I started in the hobby. I mean, this radio is from 1994. I started in 1988, but I mean, it's the same thing. And back then, I got as excited, if not more excited, about buying a radio than I did buying an engine, if you can believe that. Because this is the kind of stuff that you would get when you bought a radio back then. You got everything. You didn't just get a transmitter and then have to go buy all this other receiver and all this other crap separately. This is what a real radio system looked like back then. You got the manual for it. And then you got all kinds of stuff. Let me see if it's going to fit into this kind of view. I think I'll just leave it like this. So you'd open this thing up and it's like Christmas Day. You're like, holy crap, look at all the cool stuff in here. So you pull it out and you got the transmitter. And it's a real transmitter. It actually has weight to it. It's not a feather like some of those systems they make today. Now this is a Focus 4-channel system. And this is back when these trim controls, I don't know if you can kind of see these trim controls were basically manual. They're just little potentiometers that would just move your ailerons or whatever. And then here you can actually you can preset or make other manual adjustments here with a little screwdriver. So it was none of this programming crap that you have to sit there and read a book that tells you all about this stuff. This was a lot of mechanical linkages. You actually had to know some mechanics. I mean, it was just wonderful back then. So then you had this nice big battery compartment where you'd install your battery. So let's just go through this thing here. Now I don't know that I ever have any plans on this, but you know what? If I ever fly again, I'm not going to have a problem running a 72 megahertz system, because I actually like them better than the garbage that they're making today, because I've actually seen and had more issues when I was flying with 2.4 gigahertz systems than I ever did with any 72 megahertz system at all. So this is the receiver battery pack holder, and you can put some batteries in there. It's just an accessory because it does come with a battery pack. Let's see here. So here is, and back in these days, these were NiCads, not nickel metal hydride, not lipos. These are NiCads. Historically, these things always came with very low current output. This is a 650 milliamp NiCad pack. I mean, really, that was the thing, is back then, battery technology was a lot different. And that's just the way it was. Now you could always upgrade to higher capacity cells, and many times that's what I would do. And then you would get this thing here. And you're like, well, what the hell do you do with that? Well, what you do with this is you attach it to the top of your antenna, and it acts like just yet another little windsock. So you can sit here and kind of get an idea of the wind direction as you're holding your transmitter. Let's see here. Here's the battery pack for the transmitter itself. And again, 9.6 volt, the NiCad, again, 650 milliamps is all. You can get these like over 3,000 milliamps right now. So obviously, and since this is brand new, and these are Energizer cells, I've not done anything with this. When I bought this from the person on Facebook, it had never been used at all. So as far as I know, those cells might still charge. I don't know. And then you always had one of these things. Many people are, what the hell is that? Well, that's your channel number. And that channel number gets attached to your transmitter here, so everybody can kind of see what channel you're on also. So that's kind of that. And this is something that I always thought was awesome, just because I was building a lot in those days. And it's servo trays. And what a servo tray is you basically just put your rails in your airplane, and then you just drop your servos in there. It's got a spot for your switch. You just screw the rail in place, and boom, your radio's installed. Pretty easy. Now this one I think is primarily for a wing. Typically, I don't ever remember seeing no two-holer like that on radios I bought. I was more into JR and Futaba Airtronics radios. I never owned a Hitec radio. Let's see, what is this stuff? And then here you always get a bag of a whole bunch of different control arms and accessories for your servos, screws for your servos. Now there's just the list of things you would get. There'd be a bag for each servo that had different arms, grommets, and the screws, so you could use for each servo. So each servo would have its own bag of parts. What is this stuff here? There's a switch. This little tool is a tool you use to adjust the pots on the front here. I thought this was a switch. Now, this is interesting. This is really cool. It came with two switches. That's new to me. Never seen a radio that came with two switches. Oh, I know what that one. This one is for this battery thing here, in case you use that. This one is for the main battery pack that comes with it. So this whole deal here is kind of different for me from, you know, what I remember seeing from Futaba and JR Airtronics systems. Let's see here, and of course you got your 4 servos. I don't really want to pull all these things out. And this is your wall wart with all the cables. Basically what this is just your charger, and it's got a port for your transmitter and then a port to plug into your receiver battery pack. And that's how you charge that thing up. And historically those were slow as hell. Let's see if I can see on here. It says the output is 55 milliamps for the transmitter and 55 milliamps for the receiver. So I mean, now granted, those small charge currents is not bad for that size battery, 650 milliamps, and I think they would be like 10 or 12 hours or whatever your first charge. But any larger system, any larger capacity pack, and that would be some 3 days of charging. So obviously, I mean, there are some trade-offs and some drawbacks to these systems from back then, but this is what old school radio control was all about. And I just wanted to share that with you. Here's the, I didn't take this out, the dual conversion receiver, dual conversion ultra narrow band. So the connectors are Futaba or Hitec. JR has different pinouts, so their connectors are a little bit different. And then of course it's got your nice long antenna that you have that sticks out of your airplane. So anyway, this was another old school video showing you what radio control or radio systems back in my heyday of flying look like, and how they stimulated such excitement when you opened this up and you got to play with all of this, and really when you got to put it in your plane and take it out for a fly. So anyway, thank you for watching.